Welcome to Amazing Indiana Music Stories.
Well, I grew up in Lockville Gardens. My family moved there. I was around the early 1940s. And I participated in a lot of elementary school music functions. I was more of a singer than an instrumentalist. And it wasn't until I got to Attucks High School that they gave all of the students a music inventory test. At that particular time, I was in 3 music groups, and I wondered why I had to take the same test in all 3 groups. But apparently there was a reason for it, because afterwards, after all the scores were made, my 3 scores were the highest ever in the history of the school there at Attucks High School.
Wow.
And so I remember the department head, Norman Merrifield, called me into his office one day, and he said, you're in 3 vocal music groups, and we need instrumentalists. So he said, I'm taking you out of Boys Glee Club, and I'm putting you in instrumental music with Laverne Newsom, and you're going to learn to play the upright bass fiddle. And so I did that for 1 semester, and I guess I played well enough during that first semester in learning how to play that instrument that I made the second semester, I made the school's orchestra and also the all-city orchestra of the same year. And as a result of my performances, my parents decided that I needed an instrument. So they took me down to Indiana Music Company, where I purchased an upright bass fiddle. And I took private lessons from Laverne Newsom, my instrument music teacher, and I was fortunate enough to make the all-city orchestra. And from that point on, I began to play music down at University of Indianapolis, which was Indiana Central College at the time. And I was in a little jazz group down there, and we would play for school functions as well as private functions. So I've worked with many musicians here in Indianapolis. I worked with David Baker, who was, of course, one of the instructors at Indiana University. I worked with Larry Liggett Band for about 15 years. I eventually established my own band, the Indy Jazzmen, and I guess it was from there to here today.
Did you always play bass?
Yes. My music teachers at Attucks High School felt that I needed to play bass because in the vocal groups I sang baritone and bass, and so that was quite fitting that I play the bass fiddle. I transferred from the upright bass to a Fender bass guitar because it was easier to transport and a lot easier to play and wasn't in everybody's way. And so from that point, I played just for many years, enjoying every aspect of it. I was a teacher. Most people thought I was going to be a music teacher, but instead I taught the social studies, American government, and just did a lot of things around the schools that I worked in. I was in Indianapolis Public Schools for a number of years, 45 years to be exact. And I taught for 10 years, and then I went into school administration. I served as principal of 5 different schools in IPS, and these were primarily schools that were out of control and needed someone to go in and make things work, make the school work for the students that it served. The 5 years that, the 31 years of my life as an educator was at the junior high, middle school level. There were high school principals who tried to recruit me, but I didn't want high school students. I felt that I needed to be at the lower group, the age group, where I could have a greater familiarity with the students and kind of mold them into good interests as being excellent students going into high school. And from Crispus Attucks High School, I did my 32 credits in 3 years at Attucks High School because I went to summer school each year. For some reason, I was in a hurry to get out. And my sister and I, she was an older sister, we enrolled at Indiana Central College, which is now the University of Indianapolis, at the same time. And I majored in social studies and minored in phys ed, health and safety. And I also coached several sports, basketball, softball, and track. And I stayed at the junior high, middle grades level until I retired. I enjoyed my work. I had a good relationship with students. They used to call me the Joe Clark of Indianapolis because the superintendent sent me all over the district cleaning up schools that were out of control. And after I retired, I held exposing hearings for students that were up to be put out of school. And I did that for several years until I finally decided that I would retire from education and just be free and easy.
Let's go back to your your early life for a minute. So you grew up in Lockfield. You grew up in Lockfield, and you have a family connection to the Fergusons. Can you explain that?
Yes. I married one of the Fergusons. And
she was Denver's daughter?
Denver's daughter, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And of course, I knew C. Ferguson because my dad, as a police officer, worked security in their clubs on Indiana Avenue. And so I got involved in playing in the clubs as a result of knowing musicians from Indiana Avenue. And it was just an excellent experience for me to learn the ins and outs of jazz music and the blues primarily.
Did you play Sunset Terrace
Yes, I played at the Sunset Terrace a couple of times.
and the Cotton Club?
And the Cotton Club. And of course, I was just in my upper teens at the time as I was playing in those clubs. My mother was concerned, but because my dad was a police officer and in and out of the clubs at the same time, he said, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of him if anything happens."
What other clubs do you remember playing at back in those days?
I played in the Blue Eagle. I played at Henri's. I played at George's Bar. But basically, I played for a lot of private functions. Birthday parties, anniversaries, wedding receptions, things of that nature.
Tell me about some of the people that you played with that we might have known.
I played with Larry Liggett. I played with his band for about 15 years. And of course, we did the entire circuit of clubs across Indianapolis and also throughout the state of Indiana. I played with Jimmy Cole from time to time. Who else did I play with? Alonzo, Pookie Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I played with his group, and many, many more whose names I'm unable to grab at this particular time, yes.
With your vocal background, did you ever sing after you started playing out in bands?
No, I never sang, but they always, they would use me when we would tune up. They felt that I had an excellent music ear, and I could tell whether anybody was playing on key or was flat or was sharp, and we would always do that before we would kick the music.
Do you have a particularly memorable story about a performance or something an event you played at that would be worth telling?
Well, there was a club that we were playing out in West Indianapolis. I think the name of the club was the Clown's Playhouse. And it was in a rowdy neighborhood, and a fight started. And that particular night, I was playing upright bass at that time, and we had the old-fashioned piano up on stage, which was hard, and we heard gunshots, and we hid behind that great big upright piano for safety's sake, and we stayed there until the police came, and I found out later the next morning that 3 individuals had been killed in that particular situation.
That's sad.
But the majority of the time in my playing with the Larry Liggett band and also with the Jimmy Cole band, we played in the different country clubs throughout the Indianapolis area. We did a lot of events like for wedding receptions and for just holiday music. And that just kept me busy. I would take the band in from time to time in the schools where I worked, and we would play for the students, and that would just give them another way to look at me as a person, because I felt that I had many attributes that the students could learn from, and I really enjoyed it.
How did it feel to you as the avenue was sort of dismantled? The buildings were torn down, closed up. Did you feel like something had been lost?
No, because I wasn't in and out of those buildings that often. There were older musicians who had bands that were playing on the avenue, and it was kind of hard to get into that environment to play. I would go to those clubs to listen to them. I would sit in from time to time, if they allowed me to, and I just enjoyed what I was experiencing.
Who were some of the names you remember, shows you went to?
Let me think. There was one outstanding female vocalist. There were two, Hazel Johnson and Mary Moss. I always enjoyed listening to them sing, and they brought in the crowds in the clubs, and we always had a good time together.
So you weren't really part of the music business per se, but you were a lifetime musician. What's your fondest memory of being involved in jazz and blues music?
My fondest memories was let me think now. Interacting with other musicians, some of whom I was in high school with, and others who were, a lot older and experienced, and were able to, I learned from them, let's put it that way.
Do you remember the names of any of the big influencers you had?
Well, actually, my biggest influencer was Larry Liggett. I played with his band for many years, and as a teacher in Indianapolis Public Schools, I learned a lot from the music teachers, and when I became principal in IPS, I would have auditorium programs for students. I would bring in different bands to perform and to give them an inkling of what instrumental music was all about.
Do you have a memory of C. Ferguson? You said you knew him a bit. How would you describe him?
Well, C. Ferguson was my wife's uncle. Denver Ferguson was her father.
Right.
And so I knew the Ferguson family many years, and I would go down on Indiana Avenue where they had their clubs, and either to fraternize with my friends or just to listen to the music of the different bands that they would bring into their clubs.
What advice would you give to aspiring musicians today?
basically to keep doing what you're doing. The public needs you, and it's a good way of being entertained. And so I'm happy doing what I do because I still play from time to time.
Do you have any other family members that you play with?
I thought I was going to be able to play with my brother, Rudy Finnell, but Rudy and I play the same instrument. I used to have to babysit for him. I mean, for my parents with him, and when I had to go to rehearsals, I would always take him with me. And as a result of that, he got interested in playing music to the extent that, he became a music teacher in IPS after he graduated from Indiana Central College, and he had a hard time getting a job after he graduated, and he left Indianapolis and went to Gary, Indiana, where they hired him at Westside High School when it first opened up there, and he was one of their instrumental music teachers. Yes.
Did you ever think about trying to do music for a living?
No. That never inspired me or impressed me. I was a staunch educator of youngsters. I taught social studies, physical health and safety, and I coached softball, track, and basketball. And that was my enjoyment that I really loved as a professional teacher.
And we have a lot of educators that have come out of the music business, or musicians who became educators. Obviously, David Baker.
Yes.
Larry Liggett. I think didn't Slide Hampton become
Slide
a
Hampton,
teacher?
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's part of our rich history that people may not know the names of the musicians even, but they certainly don't know that they went on to educate our students.
Oh yes, we felt that was our responsibility to educate students into the field of music, and particularly instrumental music.
And Attucks had something special because they fostered creativity, right?
Oh yes. Yes, I sang in the a cappella choir, the boys' glee club, and the boys' octet. And of course, I didn't become involved in instrumental music until the department head told me, he said, I'm taking you out of one of your vocal groups, and I'm putting you in instrumental music under Laverne Newsom. And in one semester, I became proficient on the upright bass fiddle.
Is there anything else you'd like us to know? Stories you'd like to tell?
Well, basically, I enjoy all kinds of music. It doesn't matter whether it's rhythm and blues or jazz, rock and roll, or gospel music. I sang in my church choir, baritone and bass, for many years.
Do you remember your first favorite record, your first favorite song?
There were so many, I can't even think of the names. But I have quite a collection of albums at home. I've got CDs and tapes and 8-track items.
Now, did you ever do much studio recording?
No,
Any?
none,
None.
none.
Interesting.
My son, Vincent, started playing drums at an early age. He would be running around the house and beating on stuff, and which really irritated my wife, Carole, and so we decided that one Christmas we would get him a snare drum. And he really enjoyed that, and then he became an avid drummer because we eventually got him a whole drum set, and he became my drummer on the gigs that I got, right? And he still plays with me today.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
In the studio, the recording.
Yes, he's got some recordings that with me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I was hoping somebody captured some of this brilliance.
Yes. Yes.
That's the problem with, until the record industry came along, whatever you played just went into the air and nobody had a record of it.
Nobody even thought about it, really. Yeah.
They might remember it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where folk songs and spirituals and all came from.
Mm-hmm.
It's passing down from generation
Mm-hmm.
to generation. Fortunately, we grew up in an era where
Right.
we had recordings.
And my son Vincent has a studio at his residence where many musicians that he knows, they're in there jamming all the time and recording stuff. So basically, I think the mere fact that I was a household musician kind of inspired him to be involved in music, and he's an excellent drummer. Yes.
What kind of music does he play?
Any kind.
Any kind. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He plays jazz, blues, you name it. Yeah. He plays it. Yep.
Well, I look forward to hearing those recordings.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ah, right. Tell us about the Musicians Union.
In my early years of playing, if you were in a group that played in in a club downtown, you had to have a union card. And the local 3 musicians union had investigators who would go to the clubs and check you out to see if you had your union card, stuff like that. And if you didn't have a union card, they thought they had the authority to pull you off the bandstand. And the band leaders were penalized for hiring non-union musicians. I guess that was 15, 20, 30 years ago.
Were you in the union then?
Yes, I was actually, in order to play at prominent places across the city, you had to have a union card. So I was a member of the union. Yes. But one of the biggest problems that I had is that the union was getting, and most black musicians knew this, the union was getting jobs for white musicians, but they weren't getting jobs for black musicians. And so as a result, most of us pulled out of the local 3 musicians union.
It's sad.
Yes, it was. It was sad. There's a lot of music talent that left Indianapolis, Virgil Jones, Larry Ridley, and many others One of the musicians that really inspired me was David Baker. And I would see him often, and every now and then I would have an opportunity to play with him. I mean, he was an excellent trombonist, and I loved to hear his stories of problems that he had in the music field, which, we capitalized upon all that and were able to mend our ways through the music world.
Do you think that trouble with the music union drove some of our musicians out of town?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. They felt that. I remember when Larry Ridley and Virgil Jones and others left Indianapolis and went to New York. And it's my understanding they did quite well in those music venues there. I couldn't go anywhere because I had a family here. But I enjoyed playing in Indianapolis. I've played in lots of clubs throughout my years. Some I enjoyed playing in, some I didn't. Right? It really depended upon the clientele that the clubs drew. Yes.
So the Hubbard brothers, tell us about playing with them.
Erman and Freddie Hubbard and I grew up in the same neighborhood on the Near East Side. And Erman was an excellent keyboard player. He couldn't read music. He played everything by ear. It didn't matter what key. And I remember Freddie when he was at school, I believe school 26, there at 16th and Columbia. He would come to our rehearsals from time to time. And we ended up making Freddie a member of our group. Freddie, of course, went on to Tech High School, where he learned more about the music world. And when he left high school, he went on to New York, where he spent the rest of his time before his demise.
Were you ever around West Montgomery?
Yes, I was always thrilled to listen to West Montgomery because he played at several clubs throughout the city here, and anytime that he was playing, I always was a part of the audience. I loved to hear him play that guitar.
How about J.J. Johnson?
I didn't know that much about Jay. I ran into him a couple of times. There was another musician, other than Larry Liggett, there was David Hardiman. He and I were in grade school together. I think David went on to Tech High School, went to Attucks High School during the time of desegregation. But we would see each other often, and we used each other on gigs throughout Indianapolis from time to time. I learned a lot from musicians that I played with. One was a member of my family, on my dad's side, Jimmy Dupee. And I remember he came by the house one day, and I was in my bedroom practicing some music, and I was playing the bass line to a record that I had in there. And he heard me playing. He asked my dad, he said, "Who's that in there playing?" He said, "That's my son." So he came listen to me, and he said, "I got some gigs for you if you want to play with me." And so I started playing with his group, until his demise. Right.
Wow. Phil Randlin, Did you know Phil?
Yeah, I knew Phil. He was an excellent trombonist. Yep. He was in and out of town because he left Indianapolis to make more money, and he was primarily on the New York scene for many years. And there was also Virgil Jones, who played good trumpet, so those were people that I grew up admiring and playing with. So it was just a excellent time. I can think of different strands of music that we had to learn to play. Of course, there was blues and bebop, and then when R&B came in, you had a different tempo and everything. You had to learn that and learn how to play that. So music has always been inspiring to me, and I also I was one of the musicians who played behind the choir at Mount Zion Baptist Church. I did that for several years. Yes.
As did a lot of secular musicians, I understand.
Right.
Soul and jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who was in your bands with Vincent? Some of those folks.
Well, there was Bill Pennick, who passed a couple of years ago, and Fred Monroe. He was an excellent tenor saxophone player. He left Indianapolis and went to San Francisco. I'm trying to think of others. David Hardiman. I talk to David every now and then. He left Indianapolis and went out to California. I'm trying to think of others.
Common story.
Yep. Yep.
Carl.
And of course, one of my favorite keyboard players was Carl Hines. For me, I remember Carl and I got together when he first moved from Virginia to Indianapolis years ago. Carl was a math teacher at Attucks High School, but he was an excellent musician on keyboard. Yes, and we played many gigs together. As a matter of fact, we keep in contact with each other about once a month. I played with him, he and I and Steve Cumberland did a trio thing for a birthday party about a year ago. Yeah.
What's the most recent time you played?
Played for a wedding reception about 3 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're still ready?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't play the upright bass anymore because it's too cumbersome to carry around and takes up too much room on the stand. So I'm relegated to playing my bass guitar. And of course, when I stopped playing upright bass, I have since purchased and have played on at least 3 bass guitars. I'm not that good reader of music, but I have a good ear, and I can play in any key. And my ears are my foundation for listening to what I hear. And I play what I hear. Yeah, there was two brothers, William Boyd and Roselle Boyd. They're both deceased now, but they were parts of my band when the Indy Jazzmen we were in our heyday, right? So I can't think of any others. I know there were, Alonzo Pookie Johnson. He was in a member of my family on my dad's side. He played excellent tenor saxophone, and we played together many times.
Buddy Parker.
And also Thomas Buddy Parker. Yep. So, what a lot of people don't know and understand is that musicians are like a family, you know, and you really mesh when you learn to communicate to one another through the music that you play. Because, you know, we can go on a gig and have no charts and then still play an excellent gig because of what we know and what we hear, you know. And musicians complement each other according to the manner in which they play, you know.
It's all about the listening.
It's listening, you know, and having a good ear and knowing, you know, when to applaud who's playing, and that's just something that musicians have. It's something that's inward in them, in us, let's put it that way. Because one of the things we do is that we respect each other and the talents that we all bring to the bandstand.